like it's very easy to trace the reason why this time of year is more challenging for lots of us. The lack of light affects our body, which then affects our, which then affects the mind we're projecting inside. The temperature, obviously, we're having to wrap up warm, like you said, and like be cold all the time. That's not a nice feeling. So that changes the mind we're getting to live inside. So it's quite hard to, not impossible to, but you're more likely to, your body and brain are more likely to be in a lower space in this time of year. Therefore, your mind is projected, even if everything in your life is, the same, going fine, you're likely going to be in a bit of a lower mood than you would be in March, just because of those factors that are affecting your body, that are affecting your brain. Hello, and welcome back to One Brain at a Time, where we are saving the world, one brain at a time. I'm Adam Wright, Action Potential Consultant, and I'm joined today, as ever, by the beautiful, the gorgeous, and the bespectacled today, Mr. Andy Feist. How are you, Andy?
I'm very good, my man. I'm very good. Yes, I'm bespectacled today. I just thought get these on, help minimise those
Looks
mistakes.
looks the
Is that
intellectual.
science? It's trying to be a science podcast, and I'm not even sure that's science what I've just said. So
No, I think you
apologies for
nailed it. I think we've got off to a good
science
start.
nuts.
Good start in terms
What
of
are
the
you going to do
sciences.
anyway? Fact check me? I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. It's Monday morning.
It is Monday morning, and it's an early Monday morning specifically for us, an earlier Monday morning than we normally do. So,
We're
forgive.
all good. Happy to be here as always, and yeah, ready to save some brains, including our own. I don't get
Yes,
it
please.
right. We're trying to save our own brains and all.
Exactly.
We practice what we preach, all that jazz.
Indeed you do. Indeed you do. Happy Blue Monday. By the way, it's his Monday the 19th of January, which is the third Monday of January, which apparently is Blue Monday. We'll talk about that quite a lot today, but happy Blue Monday.
So Blue
Which
Monday's the topic, folks. There's some lovely subtle foreshadowing going on here.
I don't know if I'd call that subtle. We're
Yeah,
kind of ramming it up.
immaculate of faith
Yeah,
foreshadowing.
this
But
is
no, Blue
yeah.
Monday, man. We just thought we had a chat then when we just thought like January. I feel every month, for whatever reason, for any people, is a heavily emotional month for people, and I just think January, New Year, all that jazz, like it feels like it's just wrapped up in a little bit more spice than January than we perhaps might like. So
Mm.
we just thought we'd have a little chat about why that is, what it's about, how we can help cope and manage those negative thoughts and feelings that we all experience quite a lot
Exactly.
sometimes.
Exactly, and as we get off the top, I feel like as a company built on facts and knowledge and accurate information, Blue Monday is not really a thing. Like the
Mm.
idea that there's the most depressing day of the year isn't real. It was invented by a travel company to try and get people to buy plane tickets. To get out of the Blue Monday blues to fly away to Ibiza or wherever you're going to go. But so it's like the idea of a Blue Monday thing is not real. It's a bit of a myth. It's a bit like carbon footprint was created by an oil company to try and make everyone else feel guilty about their oil. Like it's trying to sell you something basically. But I do think, as you've said, it gets to a point that is quite useful to talk about, which is like there's something about the start of winter, like kind of December, late November, where it's quite exciting. Often it's because Christmas is coming up. You have all the lights. You have, the first time it's kind of dark in the evenings. This sucks, but it's getting colder. There's a hope for snow. And I just feel like by the time you're where we are in January, kind of most of the way through, but not quite towards the end of it yet, it gets like seasonal depression's a thing. It's difficult. It's very cold. It's very dark. The light hasn't returned yet. I think there's a general mood congruence of sadness in the kind of in the realm of everything at the moment. So I think it's very worth talking about. January, I would say, for me, is the one of the worst months. Like it is just it does suck because it's so long, and it's so dark and it's so cold and it's so wet and it's so I think that yeah, it's definitely worth, whilst Blue Monday itself isn't a thing, it's not a real thing. There's definitely something about January which I can see being a bit of a low mood month, let's say. So I think that's why we decided to talk about it today.
Definitely, and I think it goes back to our New Year's resolution episode where like that is one of the reasons, the natural turn of the calendar. Obviously, the most prominent reason why people do New Year's resolutions, but like I just think the fact that you want to start these in January and start your year off in the right way, I think is quite telling about. sort of vibe around the month, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if this was in, say, the new year turned on in May and June, people would be as, subservient to their New Year's resolutions, perhaps, because, well, there's more to do and you can go out later and you can enjoy yourself a bit more. And you ain't
Mm.
have to wrap yourself up in ponchos and winter coats, every time you leave the house just to pop around the shop. So I do think the fact that we are in the depths of winter now, I like to think of it now, 19th of Jan, we're as close to it being spring as we are to the start of December, start of
Look at
winter.
that.
So,
That's a growth
man,
affirming
like,
belief right there.
it is, man. And that takes some time and energy to do and think like that. You asked me this a week ago. I'm passing everyone under the sun. And I'm thinking, what am I doing here? I'm knackered. I'm tired. I'm cold. Heat costing me a pretty penny. I'm just upset.
Just
So,
having a bad time.
no, man. So you've got to, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's okay to ebb and flow in the way you feel and operate in these difficult weeks and months. But like, it is up to you. And the day we say it always, it's up to you and your potential for neuroplasticity to change the way you think and feel about things. But as we're going to go into, it's not easy, and that idea of seasonal depression I find so very fascinating
Mm.
because that's real, isn't it? That's a real thing, and the fact that some people struggle immensely over the winter months just because of the fact that it's dark, cold, wet, the whole dullness and greyness of what this beautiful country looks like is just a bit weighing on yourself, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I do think you feel things a bit more in these months, and you feel, yeah, I do. I think that sort of heaviness, that's probably the best way I can
Yeah.
describe it, as a heaviness to these winter months, and January specifically. And I struggle with February, to be real with you. If we're gonna just start slagging off
Um,
months, I will. And February can, I hate February, man.
I quite like
I
February
do.
because it's so short. It's like it's done.
Yeah, yeah. Just it just feels like another January. It's just January point two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's a short. Like you've done the hard one, and then you get like
for
the
sure,
the nice quick one, and it's by the end of February, like it's better. Like the light has
yeah,
returned. It's a bit
for
warmer.
sure.
Hopefully, it's a bit less
So
wet.
we just
I
got
don't know.
to. Sometimes in life, you just got to feel like you just got to get there. You get through it. I say it constantly every single day to my clients. Just get through it. You got your mocks. Get through the next 2 3 weeks. Get your head down. Apply yourself. Believe in yourself. Get your
Yeah,
head down and do it. Um, because there's no choice surrounding those sort of things. So it's the same with work in January. Like if you're listening, you're going to work. You're slaving away at the office. Get through it. You got this. Just keep going. Keep going.
yeah,
Keep things will turn, but you have to be resilient. You have to show those perseverance, those executive function skills developed in those insight circles to yours. Do them, do them, do them, do them. The only way you're going to get better at them, the only way you're going to be a more resilient, hopefully happy, contented individual when you practice those things.
for sure. And I think if we bring last week we talked a lot about this idea of emergence, the idea that your body and brain project your mind. So whatever's happened to your body and brain will affect the mind you're living inside. And your mind is like your consciousness is you. So it's very easy to trace the reason why this time of year is more challenging for lots of us. The lack of light affects our body, which then affects which then affects the mind we're projecting inside. The temperature, obviously, we're having to wrap up warm, like you said, and like be cold all the time. That's not a nice feeling. So that changes the mind we're getting to live inside. So it's quite hard to, not impossible to, but you're more likely to, your body and brain are more likely to be in a lower space in this time of year. Therefore, your mind is projected, even if everything in your life is, you know, the same, going fine, you're likely going to be in a bit of a lower mood than you would be in March, just because of those factors that are affecting your body, that are affecting your brain, that mean that therefore you're just in a generally lower mood. So I think it's important to, the first thing is to do is understand it. Like it's okay, first of all, to feel how you're feeling based on not necessarily anything at all. If something has happened, then obviously trace those feelings and emotions back to that thing. But if you just feel lower at the moment than you did a few months ago, or than you probably will in a few months' time, that's completely fine. Just understanding that it's because your mind is an emergent property of your body and brain, and the way that what happens to your body and brain affects fundamentally how you feel every single day. Um, but then, crucially, what we want to talk mostly about today, we don't just want to talk about how we feel sad and you know, how we feel low. We want to talk about this idea of that we don't have to just accept how we feel. We can always challenge it. And as you talked about earlier, like the idea of neuroplasticity, that your body and brain can change. When your body and brain is in a low space, weirdly, counterintuitively, I would say your body and brain doesn't like change, so likes to stay in the same space. So if you are in a low space, your body and brain is like, okay, I'm going to stay like this though, because at least I know what this is like. I know what this is like. I don't want to challenge
Yeah.
this feeling. I want to stay in this space, even though you're not having a nice time. You're not enjoying yourself. You're, having a bad evening. But then, I think we alluded to this last week as well, you're more likely to reject opportunities to change that feeling, to change that thing. So if your friend's like, "Oh, let's go out today," but you're in a low space, you're in a low mood, you're like, "No, not today, mate. I'm not gonna make it. I can't be asked," or something like that. You're not gonna be able to put yourself in a position where you can change the situation your body and brain are in, which is therefore going to change the mind you get to live inside. It just means that you are stuck in that space. So we want to focus today's episode on the idea of challenging those feelings and the ways that you can challenge those feelings and change them. Even in a depressing, sad day like Blue Monday, you can always find bits of joy. You can challenge yourself to change the feelings that you're having every single day.
For real. For real, man. And I just think I think I use an example from my life, like recently, a Saturday morning, my brother, I've spoken about him on the podcast before.
Shout out, Jim.
The absolute freak of nature he is, man. And he's sickening how honest he is with things, which makes me, a lovely amount of reflection needed when I spend time with him because he makes me so angry. So it's one of those where it's just like, so him and his pal, lovely fella, he owns his own gym and coffee shop right in the Witterings. Um, Shout out to him, man, because what an amazing guy. What a lovely bloke as well. So on Saturday, they invited me. We go watch Spurs. All three of us got up to watch Spurs, and one of
You
my other
poor
pals
thing.
from back home. So that's a pretty resilient building activity and all. So, um,
Talking about Blue Monday.
yeah, talk about blue Saturdays, Sundays, whenever we're playing. They're blue days, man. Let me tell you. Um, so we got up to Spurs together, and so yeah, I used to have times in my life where I was extremely physically active. Most of my formative years were very probably abnormally a bit active and demanding, hence a few issues I've had physically. So when I left that world and moved into a different world of academia and all those sorts of things, my need and my sort of desire to exercise diminished massively, right? And probably when I met my partner and I was still up until that point when I was about 21, 22, I was working out and felt good about myself, was looking good, felt wonderful. And then as soon as I met my partner and the stars aligned in that way, I just sort of dropped off and work picked up and all those things. And it just led to me being a more sedentary and lazy and moody because of it. So they invited me to go to the gym. All right. They said, come to my gym, have a little group workout session on Saturday morning down at Witterings. Takes me about 45, 50 minutes to get there, right? And as you are aware, and as you do as well, as you have moved now as well, like we travel a lot, right? We are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we are on the road. I live miles away from anywhere that we are. So there's a lot of travel involved. Gets to Saturday, I'm getting there with a story. I'm taking the gyrator here, so it's
This is how you drive. The long
yeah, for
route.
real. So yeah, it is. So Saturdays, they said come gym. They ran 30 kilometers around Witterings before I got to the gym at 8:30 in the morning. All right.
Oh man.
So I dragged myself out of bed at about 7:30. I drive an hour to get there, 50 minutes to get to Witterings. I roll up, bowl up, yawning, tired, grumpy. And I see these
Coffee in one hand.
coffee in one hand, pastry in the other. These three, these three geezers are just bowling along the road
Oh,
where the gym is. Not even look like they've broken a sweat, mate. I was like, "Yes, man, my brother." I was like, "What time did you get up this morning?" 5. You got up at 5 in the morning to get to the place they were going to meet to run for 6, and then ran an hour and a half, 2 hours back to the gym to then do a 45-minute intensive hit workout session at the gym that this geezer owns. And I did that session. I had to dip in and out of the circuits because I was done in for. I was dead on my feet. I was dead, mate. I was so tired. There was this old boy I was doing like pairs with one on, one off. He was killing me, man. He was absolutely destroying me. He made me look like a fool, man. So yeah, but they was all being so nice, like it's all right, mate. I just lying on the floor. It's just like it's all right, mate. You're doing well. You're doing well. Okay, cheers, Phil. But like, it's one of those where I did it, and my brother after was like, "How did that feel, man?" I was like, "It felt horrible. It felt absolutely
Felt
disgusting. I
terrible,
felt
mate.
sick. My
Mm.
legs hurt. I wanted to just not be here." And I think just to say that is like, I got home. I was buzzing. I was so happy with
Yeah.
myself. Like, I think it's a falsehood that you feel those things straight away. Because as I said, in the moment, disgusting, hated it.
Hmm.
After the fact, I felt a little bit embarrassed, to be quite frank with you, about how far I've fallen in terms of physical grace. But then we all went to his coffee shop and had a nice coffee, and so hospitable, such a good guy, man. So that was really nice. But I was like, tough week. Everything stacked against me in terms of ordinarily, if I didn't understand this stuff, and in the past recently, I would have shut that down straight away and just said on Friday night, we didn't get back till late Friday night. Look, Fiesta, I'm knackered, man. I'm too tired to drive. I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm sorry about that. And I just thought to myself, like, you needed to go. You had to do that. Yet there has to be a point again where you can start doing the right things again. And there has to be a point. And there has to be that point where you just say enough's enough. And
Yeah.
I reached out on Saturday and I'm gonna head to the gym today. And I just think it's start that journey again, start that path. But like it was tough. It was a real battle. It was. And those social comparison circuits when you're looking at others around you, look like they're living and flying. You speak about it. My mate and his pal who do marathons in 2 hours, 55 minutes and just absolute monsters. They don't think they got it together, man. So I don't think there's ever a point in life where you say, "Oh, I've got this, I've done this," and whatever. But just basically, the point I'm saying is, if there are those people in your life that are doing the right things and look like they're doing the right things to you, it's okay to not feel the same as them. But
Yeah.
also, they invite you to do things for the betterment of yourself. Surround yourself with the right people. Like
Yeah.
I went because
For
it's my
sure.
brother and one of the pals, and just the more I spend time with those two people specifically, the more I want to do better, and
Yeah.
that's the reality for me. It's like, okay, these guys are on it, man. Why can't I be like that? And I don't judge success in that way, but for me personally, that's how I want to view my next few months. Like, how am I going to operate with
Mm.
those two? And hopefully it become, they said let's do this every Saturday. So fingers crossed I can stick to that. But I didn't feel like it, and that's what we're talking about, this Blue Monday and how to get out of it. Like because of all those things that happened in the week and that were challenging, I did want to just lie in bed and just chill Saturday. That felt like the thing I wanted to do. Honestly and openly, that felt like what I wanted to do. But if I did that, I'm not giving myself a chance to feel better. Just the fact that I went and pushed the boundaries and pushed my limits, I come back Saturday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I felt wonderful, man. So owe it to yourself to put yourself through that sometimes. And you did a wonderful substat this week on you know forced
Wow. This is
challenge,
fantastic.
didn't you? The forced
Yeah,
challenge and
I did.
forced putting yourself through an
Friction
uncomfortable.
maxing.
That's the one,
Friction
friction
maxing.
maxims. I'll let you go into, man. But yeah, thank you for listening to that story, gang.
Oh, that's it's wonderful. I just think that's such a like. You're exactly right. I think you put it really well. You just said like you need to give yourself the chance to change how you feel. Like you do,
Mm.
and our brain is very good at keeping us in a space because it wants to keep us in a space because at least it knows what this is like. It's good at continuing on the same path, right? Not saying, right? So when you talk about difficult feelings, challenging emotions, it's so hard to be super prescriptive and like you have to do this, you have to do that, and this will work because it is different for everyone. And also the reasons that people are feeling a certain way are fundamentally different, right? Like there are some people who just feel low today potentially because it's a Monday in January, you know?
Yeah,
There's some people who
yeah,
feel low
for real.
today because maybe they've lost someone. You know that there's and there's everything in between that and there's things beyond that. Like, there's such a scale of things that cause us to feel how we feel. I can't just be like, go to the gym and you'll feel loads better and you'll be cured. Like obviously it's more complicated than that. But no matter what the situation is, the fundamental reality of we are emergent properties of what we are doing with ourselves. And if we are not giving ourselves opportunities to feel better, we are not going to feel better. If you are just depressed and sad and sitting in that space, wallowing in it, we talk about being in a bath of sadness and like pouring more onto yourself. If you are not actively trying to get out of that situation by putting your body and brain in situations where you can start to feel better, you are not going to get out of that space. And that's the depressing part. And talking about neuroplasticity as we do all the time is what you do with your brain, you get better at. You practice everything you do, you're practicing. So if you are being in a challenging low mood space and not getting, trying to get yourself out of it, you're practicing being in a low mood space, which means that when you're there in the future, your brain is better at keeping you there. So it's really, really important that we do this stuff. So both things can be true. It can be fine to feel low and have days where you're just not up to it and you don't feel it. That's completely fine. But there also has to be a point where you can't let that limit your experience. You have to, as you said, give yourself the opportunity to feel better in those moments. And yeah, I think well, that story is a really good one because that's exactly right. And I think that when it comes to fitness, especially, this is often a reason people might feel low. Even talks about linking it back to New Year's resolutions. Lots of resolutions are fitness related. Like they either get healthier, start running, or whatever. Um, One of the problems with the New Year's resolutions, though, is when you start a fitness habit, you are then surrounded by people who either have had fitness habits for a long time or are brand new into fitness habits. So it's kind of a hyper filter of all those super fit people who are really, really good at what you're doing. So you go to the first time you go to the gym, I remember my first time going to the gym very clearly. I felt so out of place because everyone knew what they were doing. Everyone looked great. They were like, huffing and puffing, doing the wiggle woggles. Wiggle woggles. Is that right? They're all doing
Yeah.
the bits and bobs, and I was like, "What is this?" And I went on the treadmill and I walked for 5 minutes, and then I went
Mm.
home. And I felt awful about it, and I didn't feel good after it because I hadn't really worked out. I just gone for a walk. I couldn't have done that around the block. But I just felt so out of place in those spaces, and I think that you're exactly right. And it's like these things, they can take a while to make you feel better, but putting yourself in that uncomfortable position to learn and challenge yourself to doesn't always immediately feel, oh, this is amazing. I feel fantastic. But after a while, the consistency of that habit, the keeping going at it, is the only way that you're ever going to get good at the new thing you're trying to practice. But also, the resulting feeling later on is you'll feel better. And so when you do these difficult things, you try and challenge these feelings and emotions, your brain is trying to keep you passive and easy in the same space that you are currently in. You've got to have some wherewithal to push through that to try and change those feelings. Because even if you hate the experience of running, you will probably feel better than you did before because you did something, you changed your experience in that moment. So you probably feel better even if you know, had a miserable run on a low day.
No, man, you're spot on. No, that's so true, man. And you know, it's so pertinent to say that because people resonate with that. Though can't get pumped with the idea that you're going to love it as soon as you do it, and that's going to fix all your issues, man. Because it's just true. It's such a force of that. So to come out and just be like, no, it sucks, man. Like it truly, truly sucks sometimes. Like exercise, and some people just ain't going to enjoy it. Like I said, I put myself into that category. You've had a similar experience with you and running, so but like do it. But we're not underselling it. Like when you feel like you don't want to do stuff, that's real and it's strong. It's power.
It's
Like
hard to get out, isn't it? It's so hard to
so
like,
hard,
no, I need
man.
to do something. But you
Because
do. You
that
just need
feeling
to
is
do something.
so strong. And what you'll do is you'll find yourself, and this is what I do. I find myself going, I feel like this, I feel like this, I need to do this. And then I'll give my brain automatically like bing bang boom, straight away will be like, here's four reasons why you should just stay at home.
Yeah.
You've,
It's
you've
raining
thrown,
outside.
yeah, so many excuses come swirling into my brain. I'm like, oh my word. And that's not me trying to think those things. That is automatically what is going on in my brain.
Mm.
Those thoughts are getting flooded through to me, and then I'm experiencing them, and then I'm like, all right, it's getting my shoes on, getting out of the door has just become 10 times harder. So you
Mm.
just got to
Yeah.
to be aware and acknowledge that's what's going on in your head is a good way to notice it in the moment and go, well, I said this would happen. It is. My brain's giving me loads of excuses not to go. Get your shoes on, get out of the house, do something.
Exactly. Exactly. And
So
it's because like, very, 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 very basically, your brain doesn't like changing states very much. It likes being, your brain is a very energy intensive, despite the efficiency of the brain compared to like a laptop in terms of the processing power. It uses like a third of your body's energy, like constantly. Your brain is it's because it's doing everything, right? It's doing all of the, it's regulating your heartbeat, your blood pressure, and it's also doing your mind and all the stuff with it. It's doing everything that makes your body kind of work really well. So it's using a lot of energy all the time, and so it's trying to be quite efficient and lazy. It doesn't like doing, running. Obviously, for example, exercising is quite energy intensive for the body and the brain because it has to figure it out, especially if it's not something you've got a habit of doing. So if you're sitting on the sofa, and you're feeling sad, your brain is happy feeling sad because it's like, okay, I know this feeling. I don't enjoy the mind you're projecting doesn't feel great, but your brain's knows what to do, and also it doesn't have to do anything. It's just sitting still. But in those moments where you're like, okay, now I'm going to go for a walk to make myself feel better, your brain's like, oh, but it's raining outside because it's just trying to stay in the same state. It just wants to not have to provide the body with more energy. But you can take control of it in those moments and go, actually, no, we're going outside. We're doing this. There's a term called, I don't know if, I think it's Gen Z. It feels like a Gen Z thing because like putting the word maxing on the end of anything is what the kids are doing, isn't it? It's what we're
can
doing.
we say like, can we clarify the boundaries of generations? Gen Z, I saw
Oh,
something the other day
five
and I
to
thought, yeah,
2010, isn't it?
isn't it?
Yeah. So we're
Yeah,
Gen Z, even though I don't feel Gen
mad.
Z. I don't feel Gen Z.
Sounds a bit hip, doesn't it? I don't think I feel like that. I don't think I associate myself with
No,
Gen Z mentality.
if it's okay, I think you're boomer. I give a bit of boomer.
100%. What's that? The 30s, is it? 1930s, is it?
Like
That's what
40s,
I
I
feel
think.
like. Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Just I don't
Yeah,
know. I just don't think you give Gen Z. I don't think I give Gen Z either.
no,
But no, we are both. And actually, you're more Gen Z than I am because you're younger than me.
yeah, man.
So
I'm in the middle, aren't I? I'm right
yeah,
smack
you're
bang really in the middle.
right in there.
No,
But
give
yeah,
or
so
take, yeah.
we're maxing everything, us Gen Zers. But there's the
Apparently so.
thing, this new term that I'm determined to make a thing because I read about it in the Guardian. So therefore, it must be what all the kids are saying. Because therefore, if it's in the Guardian, it must be. Anyway, there's a thing called friction maxing, which is kind of the idea that everything's got a little bit too easy, everything's got a little bit too convenient. So it's the kind of conscious choice to add a bit more friction, kind of difficulty, I would guess I'd describe it,
Yeah,
into your everyday life and everyday routines. And I think that there's some people being, there's always some people who have it. Like I think generally, right? My view on that is probably that's yes. That's also some really strong neuroscientific foundations to that. I wrote about this all in the Substack, which I will put the link in the description of this podcast and the YouTube video, so you can check it out. But I think that there's a lot, basically, as we said, your brain likes passive and easy. It likes to continue doing the same things and doesn't want to have to make difficult decisions or do hard things, even though that is what's good for it in order to change the mind we're projecting, in order to build the correct kind of circuits, like our insight circuits, as opposed to the emotional reasoning circuits at the bottom of our brain. We want to, but those positive things, our brain is quite good at convincing us that those aren't things we want, that convenience is fine and that is good. But some people always take these things too far and they go a bit ridiculous with it. But I think in general, adding a bit more difficulty to your routines is a good thing. So if it's, let's be very specific of what I mean by this. Like, let's say you go to the gym and your gym is like 10 minutes away, but it's like a 5 minute drive and a 15-minute walk. Like, walk to the gym. That's a
yeah,
friction, right? That's a bit harder. It's not as convenient as to drive, but you're going to get a lot out of that walk. For not only the fitness benefits, but you're completing a rock there. You're walking outside of nature. You can listen to some music on the way. That is a perfect example of something that would be quite beneficial for you long term.
100%.
And is not going to massively. It's just adding a little bit of difficulty into your
Yeah,
life.
I think
That
that's a friction maxing. That is cold showers. That is ice baths. That it is those sorts of things, isn't it? It is like this is horrible. 3 minutes in the morning. That is a horrible, horrible way to start your day. But the physiological benefits are huge.
is
So
massive.
you give
Yeah,
yourself a bit of challenge, a bit of difficulty, a bit of adversity in the morning to feel better for it later, and that's friction maxing. And what Adam said there, spot on. Walk to the gym instead of driving. Those sorts of things. Like just little tweaks you can make. We're not saying like make your life miserably
yeah,
difficult
exactly.
for
Don't like
you.
move out of a lovely house into a box to live
Yeah, yeah,
maximum
yeah,
friction. Like
for
like
sure, for sure. Like comfort in life is to some extent is where we want to get to, isn't it? We want to be comfortable, we want to be happy, we want to be content. But I do agree that to some extent that comfortability is hindering progress, maybe, and
and it
hindering a
makes
little
us
bit of
quite it makes us, it makes us. There's a there's a level of like, so let's talk about eating, for example. So lots of people just get takeaways and have ready meals in dinner and stuff. So a friction maxing approach would be to just make dinner. To
Mm.
get a recipe, make a dinner. And there's a couple of things that I think is really important to talk about in that aspect, that your brain gets better at what you do with it. So if you are always doing the most convenient thing going forward, your brain is getting very, very good at very convenient, quick solutions to problems,
It won't like
which
it when difficult things happen.
when a difficult thing happens, your brain is going to spin out in a way that it wouldn't have if you just. It sounds weird that like cooking dinner every night means that your brain would better in a more difficult situation, but it absolutely will, because I now live on my own. I was doing a lot of admin last night, Sunday evening, about the food this week. Working out which days to have this food so that it doesn't spoil, so that I'm maximizing the amount of food I have across the time. And it's like those little bits of like thinking and development are going to profoundly affect my brain's ability to handle, it sounds weird, but like a more stressful situation. I've not gone the most convenient route, which is to have a takeaway pizza every night, or to order Uber Eats, or to order Deliveroo. But my brain is going to benefit from that. The fact that I'm making the harder decision every single day. I'm choosing to go to the further away supermarket that's cheaper, so financially that's better. But also I'm choosing to make healthy meals that take a bit longer, and meal prep and stuff like that. So I'm benefiting from the foresight and planning of that. So my brain is not only getting better at cooking, which is a useful skill to have, it's also getting better at decision making and managing lots of different things at the same time, and all that stuff. So I think it's really important to understand that the thing we talk about every day is what you do every day profoundly affects you, kind of how you feel today, but also it affects the person you're going to be tomorrow and any day after that. So adding a little bit more challenge into your life, adding a bit more difficulty into your life, will profoundly affect the way you feel every day. And also, fundamentally, it will change your view of yourself, because when everything is so convenient, we can get a false view of ourselves that we are unable to deal with difficult experiences, challenges, and those difficult moments where that's not true. Your brain has an incredible capacity to be able to change and adapt to any situation you'll find yourself in. So by practicing small difficult situations, when a big difficult situation comes up, you're more ready for it. But proving to yourself every single day that you're doing difficult things improves your belief in yourself, that you're capable of those difficult decisions in the future. So doing those hard things every single day. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and go for that horrible run, even though I hate running. Okay, I did it, and not only did I do the run and I feel better physiologically because I did the run, but also I've proved myself that I can do the thing I'd even, something that's good for me, even though I hated it. And you're proving to yourself, and we call that a growth affirming belief. You're starting to believe in your ability to do things in your brain, and beliefs are fundamentally important for how your brain operates, and it will open up a world of experiences. Because then going forward, when there's a new experience, that an opportunity that comes up, if you have a growth affirming belief of I can do difficult things, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to like it, but I do it anyway, and I find out, you're more likely to take that opportunity. You're more likely to go, okay, I'm going to try this thing out, and not stay in that low space, not doing anything at home.
No, no, exactly right. Friction maxing. It's a thing. Get on it. Jump on it. Do it.
Friction makes your lives,
That's
guys.
all I've got to add to that.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for listening to the episode. I just, I think low moods, sadness, feeling in difficult ways is. I feel like I need to keep reiterating that it's completely fine to feel that. Like, I
Mm.
don't want to live in this place where, you know, we deny those things exist. Of course they do, and it's more complicated than just go for a run and you'll feel better. Obviously, We're not trying to say that it is, right? But we can guarantee you that the 12 rocks of well-being, the things we talk about all the time, if you do them every day, it will make the awful days less awful, because you are looking after your well-being, even in those really difficult times where it's really hard to look after well-being. And if you do them on really good days, it will make those days even better. So it's just really important that we understand that whilst our feelings are our feelings and we are going to feel how we feel about things, we don't have to just sit in those things. We can challenge them always. We can always challenge it. We can always change it. So yeah.
Thank you very much. Cheers for listening, guys. See you next week.
See you next week, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your episodes. Subscribe to us on YouTube so you can watch us on camera, and also email the show if you have any questions about friction maxing, Blue Monday, anything we talk about, or just want to add some witty comments. We had an excellent YouTube comment last week, so just add. Can we work on the jokes, guys? Can we work on the jokes? Because bless you, sir, Thank you for commenting. We appreciate it for the engagement and the algorithm, but be funnier. Do you know what I mean? Respectfully, respectfully be funnier. But yes, thank you very much for listening,
If
and
you've
we'll
got
see
nothing nice
you.
to say, don't say it. I ain't saying
Yes,
anything, mate.
exactly right. Exactly right. We'll see you next week.
Nice one. See you later,
Cheers.
guys.